Honorable Shri Ramesh Chandraji Tripathi, Dr. Sampadanand Mishra ji, principals, educationists, teachers, parents, media, and my dear students. Wish I could address this beautiful gathering in Sanskrit. When I was young, I used to hear my grandma, my Dadi Ma, learning meticulously, and she was unlettered. And I used to hear her learning meticulously the ucharan, the pronunciation of beautiful stutis and stotras. The Sanskrit sound, its rhythm as I could hear it, would completely mesmerize me. As I grew older, I followed her footsteps, and I too memorized some stutis, some stotras, Vishnu Sahasranam, Shiv Mahim, etc. I felt as if their melody was in harmony with the universal symphony of the planets, with the rotation and revolution of the earth, the twinkling of the stars, the movement of the breeze, the rising of the waves. I was sure that these Sanskrit words and mantras are in perfect harmony with that beautiful, melodious, cosmic orchestra. Though at that age, I could learn easily the correct pronunciation of these stutis, the recitation of these hymns and stutis, I could not learn, for the dear life of me, the Sanskrit language per se. And this has remained a very painful fact in my life till date. Every time I would turn to the Bhagavad Gita for answers to questions in my life, and all of us have questions in our life. Why does this happen like this? What would have God wanted me to do if He were here in front of me and He would ask me? I don't know what my Krishna wants me to do at this point, at this juncture in my life. And then we turn to the Gita. But we have to depend on a translation. And every translation, however good it may be, it is subjective. How will I know what my Krishna wants me to understand from the Gita? All these were giving me a lot of pain in my life. Why can I not understand what he's saying to me? And then I took a vow. I took a vow that no student of mine will ever feel as helpless as I feel when they grow older and when they turn to the epics, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita for answers. This led me to a dream. My dream was that one day Sanskrit language must go through a period of renaissance in India. And this renaissance must begin with Seth M.R. Jaipuria School, Lucknow, the baby that the divine has given us to nurture. If the divine has given me a little baby, and if I'm able to nurture the baby in the right manner, maybe one day this will be picked up by other schools and other educationists, and there will be a renaissance of the moral character and the fabric of our Indian citizens. After that, I studied the pedagogy of Sanskrit teaching in Indian schools carefully. And I found two main lacunae in the pedagogy, which I decided to address in the Sanskrit curriculum that would be given to our students. One, in India, Sanskrit teaching and learning begins in class 5 or 6. Research concludes that the age when a new language is learnt easily, with great fluency and near perfect accent, is from birth to age 7 or 8, after which it becomes much harder, as it has become for me. For example, when a child is born to a Punjabi mother, for instance, a Tamil father, and he is born and brought up in Bengal, that child will learn all the three languages with utter spontaneity, right? The second lacuna present in Indian schooling regards Sanskrit curriculum is that the Sanskrit curriculum is crowded with conjunction tables, Vyakaran, grammar. And these hide from our students the joyous treasures of Sanskrit language. So, we at Jaipuria firstly decided to create a Sanskrit program of education which would begin at LKG, kindergarten level, and go up, at least in the initial stage of commencement, up to class 8th. I feel that now Jaipuria school has come to that point where we can say that the initial experiment is over and the experience of Sanskrit is becoming quite full and complete in our students up to class 8. In fact, our student council, and they're all standing here, have demanded from us that now Sanskrit should be made compulsory for students of class 12. They said, why? Why is it compulsory to study only English in class 12? We are Indians, and you should make it compulsory to study Hindi or Sanskrit. You must make it compulsory to take one of these two subjects in class 12. And this has been asked from us by our student council. I cannot tell you how happy that made me feel. The other thing our student council asked, I'll be telling you lately, otherwise I'll just diverge from what I was saying. So we at Jaipuria firstly decided to create a Sanskrit program of education which would begin at LKG, kindergarten level, and go up in its initial stage of commencement up to class 8. And equal weightage to English and Hindi would be awarded to Sanskrit. Secondly, we decided to teach simple conversational Sanskrit, Sambhashaniya Sanskrit. Our aim was neither to create mantra reciting parrots, nor scholars, nor pandits. We had a simple three-pronged approach, three clear aims before us. Our first and basic aim was to inculcate in our students a love for Sanskrit language, a basic love for the language, which would build in them a curiosity to explore the hidden treasures that are hidden within Sanskrit's folds, the folds of Sanskrit. There are so many treasures which are replete in this language. And when I heard my student council, I'm so proud of my student council. Student council, are you listening to me? When I heard my student council members demanding, and it's just a month back, the student council was demanding from me the study of the epics. And why do they want to study the epics? They said so that they may imbibe the character of Ram, Arjun, Sita, Hanuman within them. I realized that in these 11 years, Sanskrit had woven its magic in the character of my students. And our first aim of creating a basic love for Sanskrit in our students was reasonably reached. Our second aim was to repackage Indian culture and heritage for our students in such a manner that it would inculcate in them a love for Indian culture and thereby a lasting respect for their motherland, Bhavani Bharati, a fact that is hitherto missing in Indian students pan-India. I'm sure that all of us agree that our students, our children, don't have that kind of respect for India, which they ought to have because India is worthy of respect. Finally, and most importantly, the third aim was to bring about a positive transformation in the character and values of our students. The one common crisis facing humanity at large is the crumbling of the moral edifice. The whole world is looking for solutions to this major crisis. UNESCO has mentioned this crisis as one of the three major crises which are facing the world. If education, devoid of the moral factor, devoid of values, was enough, we would not have some of the major terrorists of the world having studied in some of the largest and most reputed universities of the world. So it is not education alone that is going to give us values and moral character. It is something else that has to be woven inside education, which will give them the power to get good jobs, but also the power to become good human beings. Our Vedas have said, Janyam Devya Janaha, Om Nar Bhavi Janayam Devya Janaha. I am not very good at Sanskrit, but they say that first become human, and after that you can strive to become divine. So we have to first become human, and for that we need to have something in our education that teaches us to become humans. Education, and only education, and that too from primary levels, can address this crisis. It is the overarching duty of every educationist to address this important dimension in their students' portfolio of education. And why should we reinvent the wheel? We at Jaipuria realized that the values encrypted in Sanskrit are universal, sarvabhaumik, and they are eternal, sanatana, and they will enrich our students irrespective of their nationality, religion, class, or creed. Sarve sukhina bhavantu, sarve bhavantu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhavet. We decided then to unveil for our students the mystery of the yajna, offering, havan, to help them experience in their daily lives and tasks the joy of karma yoga of the Gita. At Jaipuria school, they learn that while the outer yajna is an offering of ghee in the fire, yes, it is, but the yajna is really the sweetest and simplest gateway to an inner and deeper connection with the divine, with God, who is sitting within our being as the soul. This soul is the fire of yajna. This is what our students learn here. And the offering, the samidha that has to be put in, is what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. If there is an emotion inside me, I need to offer this in this Anjali as a offering to this fire. When we do that, we invoke the divine within. We invoke the divine into the work that we are doing, into the feeling that we are feeling at that moment, into the action, into our thought. And all it takes is 2.5 to 3 seconds. So to be able to do this kind of a yajna thousands of times a day, it doesn't take anything. 3 seconds is nothing. But in those 3 seconds, by offering your food, you've turned your food into prasada. By offering this, you have invited the divine to come and write the paper for you. By offering this, you have turned your own personal feeling, whether it be of love or of hate or of jealousy. By offering it, you instantly invite the divine to turn it around, to transform it. And this is what Jaipurians are learning about yajna. This yajna has to be performed thousands of times a day, and this will lead us to a spontaneous, free-flowing contact with the divine within. This will lead us to become karma yogins. Inspired by these 3 aims, a tentative curriculum was drawn up. Our experiment of teaching Sanskrit from LKG in Jaipuria school began in 2003. As this experiment progressed, our teaching learning materials also progressed. Deva Bhasha, our Sanskrit textbooks, from class 1 to class 8, are the product of this labor of love and dedication to Sanskrit. Our LKG and UKG books are being worked upon and will be published before March 2016. We are not teaching Sanskrit to students of Jaipuria school only. Sanskrit is also being passionately taught to our Navsrijan students. We have 250 students from the underprivileged community around Gomti Nagar, and they too are learning Sanskrit as they are learning every other subject of Jaipuria school. The purpose is not only to instill values in them, but also to raise their consciousness, their chetana, which will naturally raise their status in society. Swami Vivekananda had once said, "Learn Sanskrit and you will be given prestige." I have infinite gratitude to Dr. Sampadanand Mishra ji, Director Sri Aurobindo Foundation for Indian Culture, Pondicherry, whose knowledge, sincerity and devotion to Sanskrit can only be matched by his simplicity and his humility. When I approached him with this mammoth task of creating a Sanskrit curriculum for Jaipuria school, he took it upon himself as a gift of the divine. Selflessly and tirelessly, he has worked with Dr. Sudhir Tiwari, head of Department of Sanskrit, and teachers at Jaipuria school for creating our teaching learning material, Deva Bhasha. We have now, under his guidance, an excellent body of Sanskrit teachers who speak, teach, live, breathe, and enjoy Sanskrit. In the Sanskrit period, our teachers speak only and only in Sanskrit. Their influence on the children is indeed uplifting. Our Sanskrit teachers meet every Saturday to discuss contemporary issues and education-related issues, and their discussion is only in Sanskrit. We have yearly exhibitions on Sanskrit, etc. Dear educationists, Sanskrit learning has without any shade of doubt brought about a very remarkable, noticeable, and positive transformation in the values and character of our students. But let me tell you one thing, this is not all. Statistics in Jaipuria show that the overall academic performance of our students, especially in mathematics, tremendously. Their power of reasoning and the sweep of their diction has enhanced. The poetic output of our students has seen an unprecedented depth. Some people wrongly believe that Sanskrit is an archaic language, that Sanskrit has outlived its utility. They believe that Sanskrit is not amenable to revival and adaptation to modern science and technology. Such people speak out of sheer ignorance. Let me give you an example. Israel has revived ancient Hebrew, and their universities have adapted Hebrew and turned Hebrew into a suitable vehicle for research, even on the frontiers of modern science and technology, such as artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, etc. Like Israel, we too can study Sanskrit and make it an adequate medium for research in the frontiers of modern science and technology. After all, NASA has recognized Sanskrit, and Sanskrit alone, as the most apt language for space due to its precision and perfection. We educationists too can revive the study of Sanskrit in our schools and thereby do our bit in the work of resurrecting our great Oriental heritage and in the noble task of nation building, Rashtra Nirman. One last word. Sanskrit is neither ancient nor modern. Because of the eternal and universal values it contains, Sanskrit will remain forever, and Sanskrit will guide mankind forever. संस्कृत ना पुरातन है ना नूतन है, संस्कृत तो एक सनातन सेतु है. Thank you. Vande Mataram.